Just as the playoffs have begun, it's just about to end, at least its first round of eliminations. 4 drivers will be packing it home, man, through this championship round, and what a track to eliminate drivers at. We're at the Charlotte Roval, a track notorious for taking out drivers, especially when in the hunt for a championship hope, so we'll see which 4 drivers will be unlucky at the end of tonight. My name's Finny DeCuna, here with Hunter Sleppy, and Hunter, glad to have you as always. Well, actually, I shouldn't say as always. This is the first time we're going to be in the booth together, but I'm really excited to see this racing get done, because this track always puts on a fantastic show, whether it's absolute domination by the drivers at play or just a wreckfest of a race with a bunch of factors involved and many unknowns going into this event.
Yeah, there are a lot of unknowns heading into this playoff cutoff race. So this is the cutoff race for round 1, and 4 drivers will be eliminated after tonight's race. Got 40 laps here slated for us here tonight at the Charlotte Roval, 91 miles in length. And we could look at the points really quick. We'll look at the drivers who are facing elimination.
Indeed, and we'll take a look at that right now. There you have it right there. Jake Nichols leading the points coming into tonight. And then you look at your bottom 4, though. They're the drivers in the hole having to get themselves out. Ed Robertson, Jordan Martin, Tyler Nichols, and Brad Slaughter Jr. rounding out those bottom 4. But even the guys that are into, guys like Ryan Hart, Garrett Heath, they also got to be a little bit careful, because bad nights for them. They're going to be going home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tight there, a 6-point cutoff between Hartz, Heath, and Robertson. And we'll also take a look at our team standings. This was after Homestead, so Solar Flare Racing at the top with 963 points, then a close second with David Weishart Racing. Then we got Jacob Bell Racing Elite Entertainment down there, 3rd and 4th. And then Physicus Infinite Transcendent and Elwood Design Esports rounding out the team standings.
All right, and with that, we're going to be cutting it quickly, though. We're going to be going to the recap of what happened last week at Homestead.
Strong rolling through turns 3 and 4. 140 laps this race, flag to flag. If it were to stay green, would be about an hour and 17 minutes. We'll see how long it takes us, see how clean it can be. Weishart and Hearn up front, kicking things off playoff style, going for the championship. It all starts here in southeastern Florida. Flagman holding the green flag, and we are racing at Homestead. Green flag. We're going here at Homestead. Bucks back in line here. Rafe Slate side by side with Brad Slaughter Jr. And wow, big slide for the 31. I don't know if he got loose or if he was giving up a spot on purpose. But that car just did the elevator move top to bottom at the exit of turn 4. A lot more common up there at the top of the order than it has been leading up to this point. Rafe Slate is in the wall trouble. Turn 3, I think. Yes, Rafe Slate in the wall hard, and he's going to pull down the racetrack and hit pit lane. No caution, we stay green. And Forrest Smith also with some problems. And tracks up, just gets loose and just hits the, corrects into the outside wall, slams into the outside wall. And then, assuming he doesn't have a lot of steering left, gets hit by, I think that was Forrest Smith that, who was that car that hit him? No, it wasn't Forrest Smith. Yeah, exactly the same scenario. Loose out of 2, overcorrects into the outside wall. Wow.
Same place in the same spot, and still no caution.
Yeah, 3 cars all with the same incident. We've stayed green all 3 times. The battle for 10th, Garrett Grant and Brad Slaughter Jr. Grant just got by the 88. And Garrett Heath size it. Oh, spinner! And Ballacino spins out of turn 2, and he's gone.
Well, right into the inside wall went the 70, but he just disappeared.
Yeah,
he vanished.
I think he was trying to prevent a caution, but right here, slips and slides and just gets away from him and instantly gone, so the yellow doesn't trigger. But Ballacino's night is just make it in with a last-minute win. You know, there's no false hopes about things. We've got a spinner and crash out of turn 4.
Wow.
On
crash
pit lane.
On the pit road.
David Weishart at the center of it all. We stay green. But Weishart spun and collected another competitor, and Cameron Hearn was the receiving end of that. Let's go back and have a look at it.
Hearn's fortunate he didn't hit that pit opening where he hit the wall at, right here on the onboard, right there. Fortunately, he didn't hit that. That could have definitely ended his night. And a fun fact about Brad Slaughter, he originally wasn't going to run the full season in the Elite Entertainment Cup Series, but he won the first race at Daytona, the Area 500, and just decided, why not? I'll run the full season. And oh, he just had a wreck trying to get on the pit road.
Caution out.
That's going to bring out the caution.
Yes, yellow flag, turn 4. Brad Slaughter Jr. in the wall hard and just narrowly avoids getting clobbered again.
Swerving Irvin nearly got into him.
Good thing Irvin was swerving. Here's a look at it. Garrett Grant hits pit lane. No, he crashes out of turn 4. I thought he was coming down to pit road. He was not. He's turned around backwards on the front stretch. And for now, I was going to say we were going to stay green, but there flies the caution, the third of the night.
To the 91 of Jake Nichols.
Caution, trouble. Tyler Nichols turned around, and he's took a couple people with him. Gary Lewis is the other. 5 laps left. Ooh, boy. He just understeered into the 5, then bounced off Gary there, then up into the outside wall. But strange circumstance that led to it here. Car just goes straight.
And gets hit by Gary Lewis and back head on to the outside wall. What a hard hit.
Yeah, big hit there for the 79. Who's right on board, we'll get some clarity around exactly what happened here. It just didn't turn. He just turned in and it didn't go with him. Oh, man. All right, well, for this dogfight, open up the gates. Out of turn 4, pace car pulls off. 2 laps to go, 3 miles left in the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series. The Homestead 210, the final 2 laps, overtime at Homestead.
Better restart for the 28th that time by, but the 91 of Nichols still about a car length in front of that number 28. Door to door for third as they come off turn 2 and down the back.
Defensive from Nichols. Third place under fire. Hartz and Hearn battling for it. Hartz trying to steal it away. Johnson not close enough to make a move here. Double wide behind him for top 5 spots. Can they get back to the white before a caution flies? There's the white flag. We will make it into turn 1. The 33 dives to the inside.
They're all side by side behind Jake Nichols, and that's the best sight that 91 wants to see. Cameron Hearn trying to get second away from Nick Johnson. He's going to clear him. Scaoli in 4th, Ryan Hartz in 5th. Coming through 3 and 4 for the final time, the 91 of Jake Nichols. He had the most wins heading into tonight. He's going to add to that total, make it 6 wins on the year for Jake Nichols. He's going to win here at Homestead and move on in the playoffs.
Great battles to the line behind him, but Jake Nichols outlasts the best of the rest. Hearn steals second at the very end by 83 thousandths.
And there you saw that man right there, Jake Nichols, taking home the win last week at Homestead. Did a really solid job taking the win and doing the hard work already. He's going to be through to the next round of the playoffs, as we saw with the championship graphic in the opening. So for him, he really doesn't need to do a whole lot, Hunter, right? I mean, he can pretty much take this round to just kind of relax, maybe grab a few extra points here and there, but he doesn't have to worry about potentially being eliminated.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about that. And I talked to some of the drivers in the pre-race chatter before we went live, and they basically said that he can basically start and park tonight and miss next week and probably still have a good shot at making it to the championship 4. But yeah, he doesn't have to worry about having to be in a must-win or not. He's got 6 wins on the season. He actually won the previous road course race earlier in the season at COTA, and that was from strategy in itself, and we've got 40 laps here, so that's, I believe, 12 laps more than what we ran at COTA. So a lot of different strategies coming into play here at the Roval.
Yeah, indeed, and also especially, too, the fact that we got competition cautions coming out. We got the competition caution at lap 13 of 40, but before that, the pits will be closed at lap 11. I always kind of like the competition caution because it usually gives the chance, for, especially with the pits closing, the guys got to decide, okay, do I want to pit now or do I want to pit later? And it really all depends on the strategy they got in their heads. What do they think is the best? And, you know, we saw it last week, especially in the race that I covered, the Truck Series at Homestead. Some drivers thought one of their decisions, some guys decided to pit early on, some guys didn't, and it cost the guys that didn't. So we'll see which, especially for the guys who are in a trickier spot, the calls that they're going to make, because they kind of have to almost make riskier calls.
Like Brad Slaughter, he's entering 19 points outside of the cup, so he's virtually in a must-win situation. You just saw him go wide there through one of the corners here at the Roval. Got a lot of turns here. I believe 16, 17. I'm just spitballing.
I think 17. Actually, in fact, while we're talking about that, I forgot we got some track facts to go through. I don't know if it actually has it on this. 80,000 people in Concord, North Carolina. constructed. That's not right. This version of the road course was constructed in 2018. I think that's all we got. I don't think we have another one. I could swear that Kyle actually added some actual facts for that, but this is going off the iRacing data. The road course was constructed in 2018, and it's kind of amazing to think it's almost 4 years old and feels like it's still newer, but it's been around for a while. It's been putting out some great racing.
Yeah, it does feel like it's been newer, and that backstretch chicane was the most recent change to it back in 2019, because the inaugural season of it, as you see Cameron Hearn just stopping, the inaugural season, that backstretch chicane really wasn't much of a chicane. It was like a little snake turn there, but it got some of the drivers. If you made like one mistake in that area, you would go into the tire barriers and it would ruin your day. So they made a decision to improve on that and add a backstretch chicane to it, like a much wider chicane, and that's the most recent change to it since then. And we still have the Tums Heartburn turn in turn 1, which Cameron Hearn was just stopping and admiring, and riding in car with Nichols Johnston. He was one of the favorites for Coda. Him and James Scaoli, both solid road course ringers from around iRacing, and he is entering tonight. Only 9 points to the good, but if he can keep a solid run like he had at Coda, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, and again, the guys that are really good at road courses, this is a fantastic opportunity to do well, right? Because there's obviously not too many of them, and especially the guys that do know how to make right turns. It really helps them out quite a bit over the guys that are not so proficient on the road course side of things and mostly stick with oval racing. So this is their chance to make an opportunity, and again, it works vice versa, because the guys that aren't particularly good at road courses, and if you're in the championship picture, that's going to really potentially put a big dent in your points tally. As you see Johnson come across the line, this should be his first time lap. 1:20.7, going to put him nicely in 6th place.
6th place for the 28 of Nick Johnson. David Weishart currently atop the board as the quickest driver. He was the defending Cup champ from Season 1. He's looking to defend that crown, but with this man in the field, it's going to be tough to defend that. But hey, the championship race, points don't matter, just comes down to the highest finisher. And speaking of highest, Jake Nichols goes to the top of the chart here at the Roval.
Yeah, solid qualifying lap for the 91. Gets himself on pole. A lot of guys have already gone and put their laps in. Dwayne Culberson going to be rolling out on the track in the 81. Trying to look. Notice a few guys deciding not to qualify. A decent amount, pretty much everyone. 18th on back to, I think, 26th is the total amount of drivers he got. Not putting a qualifying time down. What do you think about that? Hunter, do you think that's a safe decision to start in the back, or do you think that's not a wise decision to start in the back?
For some people it is. I mean, some people elect to just opt to not qualify and just start from the back, and I believe for some people it might allow them to get a better feel for their car in dirty air. That way when the time comes to be in the front, you'll be A-okay. Kind of like what we saw from this past Cup race with Martin Truex Jr. at New Hampshire. He was up front for virtually over 70% of the race, and then got caught back in the field around like 5th or so and just kept falling back. It was complaining about the car not being able to turn because you're not used to dirty air. So some of these guys will take that chance, get their car in dirty air, feel it through, and hey, some people drive up to the front without a problem, but some people do have an issue. Oh, and Rafe Slate almost had an issue there. Going out of turn 6 and through turn 7.
Yeah, that's such a tricky part of the track because you go up and over a hill, over a crest, and you're turning to the right, and it's almost off camera in a way. The car is falling away against you. You need all that grip, and the car has very little to give you. So you have to make sure you really slow down for that part. And very easy on the gas. You saw he was a little bit loose. And then heading into the first of the 2 chicanes. Really glad they reprofiled the chicanes. Become a much better passing opportunity. A lot of action happening down here, then flying towards down to the front stretch chicane. Wow, which I would argue is probably the more treacherous of the 2. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
Rafe Slate coming to complete his lap here. Less than 2 minutes to go in qualifying, presented by the Cash That Podcast. Fans, be sure to check out the Cash That Podcast on Spotify. It is a sports betting podcast with Joe Delara and producer Cody as they continue to provide their insight in the world of sports gambling. And believe it or not, you can gamble on the home run derby that's currently going on right now. Some people had Pete Alonso as the favorite to win. He won the last 2 home run derbies. Maybe Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies just raking in home runs throughout the month of June, and maybe even Juan Soto. So those guys gave their input on the Cash That podcast, and make sure you tune in because the NBA and NFL seasons are coming up, and they're going to be giving their insight on that as well. The Cash That podcast on Spotify.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. Not a whole lot of action going on around the track. Race slate. A few others just kind of ticking. I think really the rest of the guys, Nichols Johnson, he's just kind of putting in laps. He's done. Only 2 qualifying laps available for these drivers. He's done. Jake Nichols also done. Just getting some last bits of practice in before the main event comes in just about 30 seconds time. But you can see a lot of the playoff drivers up near the front of the field, save for a few. Notably, I think Tyler Nichols is going to be stuck in 15th. It's not an ideal place you want to be running at, especially looking at guys like Garrett Heath. Actually, first Heath's actually back behind him in 17th. Robertson, his other player in 18th, I think, in behind him. So they're actually kind of all together in the middle of the field. So it's going to be a little bit crazy, I think, for them because they're going to try to be slugging for positions because they know that they need to beat each other to get those final playoff spots.
Yeah, it comes down to it. Every spot is a point, and every spot matters. Every point matters, and some of these guys like Brad Slaughter is going to start inside the top 10. That's going to be good for him, but he's 19 points out. He's basically going to have to win the race in order to move on to the next round. Second or third might not be enough for Brad Slaughter.
Indeed, yeah, we're going to take a look and see. Again, a lot can happen here. We have 40 laps, which may not seem like a lot, but for these drivers, it probably is going to feel like a lot by the time it's going to be over. But before we do that, let's go through your starting lineup here. Starting on pole, as you mentioned, Jake Nichols, continuing where he left off last week, going to be starting on pole. James Scaoli going to be starting off in second place in the number 7 car.
Then row 2 going to be David Weishart in the 33, starting third, and alongside him is Alan Balancino, going to roll off fourth.
Moving in behind them in row number 3, it's going to be Cameron Hearn lined up in the 5th place spot in the 67. Nicholas Johnson going to be rolling off in 6th in the 28 car.
Row 4 going to be Connor Okresic in the 14th, starting 7th, and to his outside, Brad Slaughter in the 88, going to roll off 8th.
Back in behind them in 9th place, Dominic DeLeo going to be rolling off in the 22 car in 9th. Ryan Hart's in the number 3 in 10th place.
And then row number 6, it's going to be, we just went over.
Sorry, I'll cover that for you. We'll trade places here. Race League going to be rolling off at 11th. Garrett Grant in the number 5 in 12th. Then you can take it over from 13th.
There we go. Row 7 going to be Chris Seinfeld in the 45 and Ryan Swan in the 1.
Moving back into 15th, going to be Tyler Nichols lining up in the 15th spot with the 79 car and the 64 car next to him in 16th at Robertson.
And row 9 going to be Garrett Heath in the 23, rolling off 17th, and rolling off 18th going to be Mark Patterson in the 51.
James Shamble is going to be rolling off in 19th place in 31. Forrest Smith going to be lined up next to him in 20th.
Row 11, Jacob Bell going to roll off 21st, and Dwayne Culberson 22nd.
Moving on back in behind them in 23rd, it's going to be Matthew Robinson in the 34. Drew Trader next to him in the 25 car in 24th.
When we get to row 13, Adam Capps 25th, Jordan Martin 26th, the deepest of the playoff drivers.
And with that, it's going to round out your starting field. 26 cars lined up here to take the green at the Roval. Working on way through. Take a look at your weather just before we get going here for green. 80 degrees in the air, 126 on the track. Going to be a little bit slick out there, and we definitely saw that in practice and in qualifying. Some guys sliding out there, especially in the infield section, and that's going to be a big thing too, right? You want to make sure you don't overheat the tires. You're easy on the throttle, because if once the tires start to overheat, your loose condition, it's only going to get worse. Your car's going to be wrecking loose in some of these corners. You got to be careful, manage your stuff.
Absolutely, and just a little more insight on some of the playoff drivers before this race goes green. Cameron Hearn won the only road course race of the season back in season 1 at Watkins Glen, and he has an average finish of 7th on the road courses here in the area. And James Scaoli won the COTA race for the Lodgebog Series, so he is also one to watch out for on these road courses. David Weishart and Nick Johnson both had a top 5 finish in the previous road course race at COTA, so all those guys are going to be ones to watch out for. And the bottom 4, once again, to keep an eye on: Ed Robertson, Jordan Martin, Tyler Nichols, and Brad Slaughter.
Yeah, trying to look at the worst of those starters. Let's see.
Jordan Martin back in 26th position. He was one of the drivers who elected not to qualify and decided, you know what, I'm just going to roll off from 26. I'm going to roll off in the back and see what my car does. Because it took to the last race at Talladega for him to make it in. He had to be in the top 20 and have a win to be locked in. He was 19th into Talladega and won on the last lap and was able to work his way in the points, and he's just kind of riding out here at the Roval, see how his car feels.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, though, but as the field rolls through NASCAR turn 3 and 4, we got these guys lined up 2 by 2, getting ready to get this race underway. It has a chance to be hectic. It can make or break someone's playoff hopes. We'll see what happens here. The pace car going to roll off, make the left-hand turn on a pit road, and the drivers are going to have to work through the chicane, and we'll head underway. 40 laps on the board. The field in control of Jake Nichols' hands in the 91, and he's off and going. Still haven't got the green quite just yet, and there it is. Green flag in the air here at the Charlotte Roval.
We got a crash in the back. We'll slow car there towards the rear.
Yeah, it looks like it's the 45 of Chris.
And he collided there.
And a car around the 51. Mark Patterson, though, a car going around for the most part. Relatively okay, no huge wreck, a few bumps and bruises, and a car spinning around, but still clean and green as we continue the next half of the lap. Jake Nichols breaking away, or trying to break away from James Scaoli, but Scaoli trying to chase him back down in his Ford Mustang.
On board with the 7 of Scaoli here. We haven't even completed the lap, but should point out that just like Circuit of the Americas, we will only have a competition caution for these road course races, so that'll be the completion of lap 13, and drivers have the opportunity if they want to come down pit road before the completion of lap 11.
And Scaoli looking in behind. Thought better. Potentially had a chance to dive bomb, but he's going to be a little bit more patient. A little bit of side-by-side action in the background. Looks like Nicholas Johnson trying to make a move on Cameron Hearn, but Hearn actually making a move to the inside of the 70. Going to try to look in turn 170. Going to block him off. And still, do you see? Whoa! Sideways trying to get on the power. Almost wrecks it loose coming through turn 2.
Balancino did not have a good exit coming out of turn 17, and that's why
he's still struggling
for Cameron Hearn.
He's still struggling. It was a little bit, you can see him really off kilter here in this section. There's Nicholas Johnson trying to get to the inside. He's going to have a car on the inside as Balancino is still struggling for grip.
Just trying to find a handle of that number 70. He was running in the 6th position last week at Homestead and spun out, and all that Ford did to avoid bringing out a caution, as we saw in the recap. And we're going to see out the back of the 70 right now.
And taking a look in behind him, Connor sorry, you're going to have to help me with on the pronunciation.
Krezek.
Krezek. Yeah, I actually remember seeing Connor in a while before. That name is definitely familiar, but as you go, I thought he was going a bit deep. And into the wall hard over the curbs. Johnson also getting over the curbs just to make sure he can avoid the 70. That car is definitely done. Huge wreck.
Got a replay here. He just he locked it up going through the backstretch chicane and trying to get out of the way. He didn't want to hit the back of the car in front of him, hits the inside wall, goes over those sausage curbs in order to avoid hitting the traffic. Unfortunately, no one hit him from behind. Like we mentioned, Krezek was right behind, and
there's Johnson's view. That was some great heads-up driving from Johnson. He looked in his mirrors, I think knew that he was coming, and decided to bail it over the curbs just to make sure his race car didn't get damaged. I'm curious, though, if he got any damage from the curbs, because he did take some decent jumps. He's going to get some more damage. He's going to door Slaughter almost off the track to fight for 6th place.
It's been chaos since the drop of the green flag. I mean, this is nuts.
It definitely is nuts, especially in the midfield, and Brad Slaughter is going to be fighting tooth and nail because, again, he's the last place car in the entire playoff picture, so he needs every single point he can get. As he almost goes in, he actually tags the wall a little bit there, running off the infield section.
I'm not sure if Johnson had to come to a complete stop because he is Well, actually, he's still in the 6th position, but he did cut that backstretch chicane a little bit, but that was to avoid a wreck, so I'm not sure what the admins say about that. Eric Weiland, Pierce Moffitt, the admins for tonight's event.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be a little bit lenient with that. Not really much more he could do except decide to have a wrecked race car, so hopefully they're a little bit nice to him. And for the most part, his car does look fine. I was trying to take a look and see if he had any damage from hitting the curves, but it looks like he got away with that, so that 28 car is good to go. And Brad Slaughter trying to chase him back down, can't quite do anything just yet. Taking a look back at our leaders, still nose to tail where we left them off. And I think this is definitely going to be the fight for the night between these two guys. A great run from Scaoli trying to get a run off the corner. Can't quite get the Nichols car, a little too wide.
Right on the dash here is Scaoli as he gets closer to the bumper of Jake Nichols.
You can hear the car scrubbing on the ground before the car hitting. You can see him trying to get a better exit than the 91, but can't quite get there. What do you think is the best place for the 7 to make the pass?
I think we're coming up on one of the better places right here, the entrance of the backstretch chicane. We'll see. He's going to lay off. Try to lay off from hitting the bumper of the 91. It's right there in turn 11, then they're coming up on it through turn 15 and maybe even turn 16 at a last chance pass.
Also a note right behind them, don't count out David Weishart because he actually ran 0.8 of a second faster than the 2 leaders last lap through. I'm curious to see as they come across the start-finish line this time what the delta is, because it looks like he's gotten a little bit closer as well on this occasion, and indeed he has. He's gone up about 0.4 of a second on the back of Scaoli. It's about to be a 3-car fight for the lead.
Yeah, Weishart was trying to get around James Scaoli's lap time that he was putting down in the practice session before this race practice session. He was looking at around a target time of 1:19, and he was flirting right around the 1:19 mark, maybe 1:20, but he's trying to get his car dialed in like the 7.
So they work through this part of the track, some action. Ryan Swan and Garrett Grant just changing position. Swan up into first place. Up into 11th place in the 1 car.
Well, he would like to be up in the first place. That would be great for him. We heard, well, actually, I heard in the pre-race chat amongst the other drivers, he said if he was running like he did throughout previous Cup events, that he would be he'd be calling it early. But right now, he's running solid in the 11th position. Really not a fan of these road courses, but it seems like that 1 car early on at least has the capability of running near the top 10.
Yeah, he's got a decent, he's doing a really decent stint. And again, considering you got that competition caution, this first stint all about feeling your car out, making sure you're just kind of getting yourself some more practice here, because everyone's going to get bunched back up together again. Matter of just getting yourself in a decent place in line and just kind of ticking off some laps. But yeah, that 1 car looking pretty good. Again, when the field gets reset in just a couple laps time, we'll see if he can do anything with it. But here's Weishart coming with his 33 car up to the back of the 7. Here's got to wonder what he's going to do, or if he's going to do anything. Maybe just decide to play this a little bit patient.
All the 2nd and 3rd place cars are a part of David Weishart Racing, so looks like David's going to lay back a little bit, not put too much pressure on his fellow driver.
We'll see if he'll be thinking the same thing about the white flag. I don't think he will.
White flag, all bets are off. Regardless if you're a teammate, team owner, whatever the case may be, your friends turn into foes when that white flag flies.
Even if it's your car owner.
Yeah, especially.
Leaders running around, trying to take a look at some other battles going on around the track. Rafe Slate and Ryan Hartson. Slate, I think, is actually up a few spots. Indeed, he is up from 11th up into 9th. Trying to make that into 8th as he's trying to catch Ryan Hartson. Hart's also, too, himself up 2 spots in the number 3 machine.
Yep, Hart's going to need a solid night here. As mentioned, only +6 to the cutoff line. And if he continues to run inside the top 10 and even further up in the field, if he continues to do that, he'll have a solid chance at moving into the next round. Ryan Hart's got into the playoffs after his win at Darlington, and of all places, when mentioned in the pre-race that it's a bonus point if you make it through with the 0x, Ryan Hart's was the only driver at Darlington to have a 0x. He didn't hit the wall once.
And looking here, it seems like Gareth Heath has retired from the session, so that's really big because he was sitting in 8th, just 6 points above the cutoff. He crashed on lap number 2, didn't quite get to see what happened as we were looking at some other racing action. Speaking of which, here comes the 12 on the 3, side by side. This is another great section to potentially make a pass if you can hit your corners right, side by side for both these guys up the hill, and the number 12 is going to get it.
Yep, Slate moving up, Hart's moving down, but yeah, Garrett Heath, he was also +6 to the cutoff line, and him being out early on, that's going to open up the door for someone like maybe Ed Robertson or Jordan Martin to get in, because now those bottom 4, they're all looking at that 8th spot, and it can actually be doable. Here's Ed Robertson, 21st on the track. He is -6 to the cutoff line. Jordan Martin was -10. I mentioned Tyler Nichols 13 points behind, and Brad Slaughter 19 points behind, but that 8th spot is open.
Yeah, it's really crazy, right? Because Ed Robertson, he's currently last of those 4, but he's technically the best of the bottom 4. Then Jordan Martin, he's doing a little bit better. Trying to find where is Tyler Nichols. He's doing a little bit better as well.
15th.
He's 15th, and he's a little bit further back. And then doing the best out of all of them is Brad Slaughter Jr., but he's the deepest in the hole. So honestly, I have no clue who's going to potentially be the best out of these bottom 4, because they're all doing well. It's going to be very close for that final spot. Oh, as Brad Slaughter runs a little bit wide.
Really wide.
Yeah. He looks like he's starting to struggle here. Nick Johnson, however, doing the opposite. Krezek is now under attack in his 14 machine. He's got the 28 all over his mirror.
Yeah, he's trying to move inside that top 5, held by the 14 of Krezek. The highest of those not in the playoffs, so all these guys are going for is a win. Oh, and he actually scraped the wall there coming out of turn number 8, rolling through turn 9.
Gonna have a little bit of slipstream, not a whole lot, but heading into the braking zone down from 5th gear. Almost always forget these cars have 5 gears now. it still quite hasn't clicked just yet.
I was like, don't worry, I'm still not used to it either.
Up into 4th, and we'll go one more up into 5th as they head into the front stretch chicane. Again, the caution looming in just a little while. The pits are going to close again at the, is it at the start of lap 11 or the completion of lap 11?
The completion of lap 11.
Gotcha. Okay, so after that, guys are going to decide whether they want to come in a little bit early or are they going to want to pit during the caution. Again, curious to see who's going to do it, because again, I imagine these guys have made their moves or planned their moves in advance, whether they're going to pit or not at the competition caution. Meanwhile, Johnston, a dive to the inside in turn number 3, going to rub doors just a little bit with the 14, going to push him off the track, and he's up into 5th.
So the top 5 now all playoff drivers, and talked to some of the drivers in the pre-race about the pitch strategy, and really fuel's not going to be a concern. Tires are going to be a little bit more of a concern than Circuit of the Americas, because the tire fall off there was not as significant as it is here at the Roval. There's a little bit of a difference, but there's still that much with the tire fall off from this track compared to the Circuit of the Americas, because it's more flat there, and you got some more banked corners here as Scaoli is saying hello. Getting really close to the bumper of Jake Nichols there.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Nichols doesn't want to be looking at the 7 in his mirror. I'm sure he would love to have a little bit of a buffer to work at, especially considering he's got now one. Oh, actually, I was just about to say he disappeared from view, and that's why the David Weishart machine's coming into the pits.
Yep, Scaoli was one of the ones that actually stayed out from Circuit of the Americas, and that strategy did not work out for him, so he's going to go into pit road along with team owner David Weishart, and they're both going to pit before the pits close.
Yeah, so they technically could have come in on lap 11, right?
They could have. I believe they're trying to undercut the 91 of Jake Nichols pit earlier than them.
I see, gotcha. That's a smart move to do. We'll see how Nichols responds, if he's going to come in or if he's going to potentially stay out and lead the field of caution. And this is one of those things, right? You talk about it's a chess game. It's not just about the driving on the track, about the strategy as well. You can win or lose a race on strategy. And I'm sure many of the drivers have definitely experienced that over time, but only those two, Scaoli and Weishart, were the guys that pit on lap 10. Lap 11, the last chance these guys get to pit. We'll see if there's any more takers. Scaoli and Weishart back in 9th and 10th, respectively.
Yeah, going back to the last broadcast for the Lodgebox Series at Homestead, Alan Elwood pitted later than eventual race winner Ryan Hartz, and it seemed like he was going to storm through the field, or actually, I don't believe it was Ryan Hartz. My apologies. He tried to undercut the winner of the Lodgebox Series from Homestead in the field. I don't know why, I can't remember it. But he tried to undercut him, had the better tires, just couldn't quite make it up because eventually at some point those tires even out.
Ooh.
And it was actually James Scaoli. My apologies there. So Scaoli going off momentum from the Lodgeback Series as here comes the rest of the drivers inside the top 5 and top 10 in.
Yeah, a few guys coming in, a few guys staying out, so a bit of a split strategy here. And last chance these guys have to come into pit road. Notably, Rafe Slate, Ryan Hartz, Dominic DeLeo staying out. Most of the other drivers, as you mentioned, in the top 10 coming in. There's Garrett Grant, again, driver mentioned in the playoff picture, trying to... Oh, sorry, not Garrett Grant. Sorry, I'm getting the two Garretts mixed up. There's Garrett Heath, Garrett Grant. Garrett Grant not in the playoff picture, but he is staying out in the number 5 machine.
And Garrett Grant almost had Nashville in the bag. It was between him, Johnson, and Leo. And Grant and Johnston had a run-in on the last lap, heading into turn 1, and DeLeo just scooted on by. And that's kind of how Dominic DeLeo locked himself into the playoffs, but he had the points to make it in. And DeLeo holding that plus 16 heading into tonight's Roval race, and 4th on the track as we speak.
Yeah, working his way on. Ooh, Scaoli, a big dive in behind, came from downtown. That was a pretty far dive back. I want to take a look at that again. I wasn't thinking he was going to make the pass on him, but again, just saw the opportunity, said don't mind if I do. Took a huge helping of curb to get it done, but he's trying to make the most. Again, he came in trying to just make up, and Jake Nichols coming in on lap 12.
He entered before the completion of lap 11, so he should be okay.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. So coming in at the very last second, again, that's who Scaoli's trying to race now out of the pits, and imagine the 7 should be good with those fresh tires, and there you see, ooh, not by much. He's going to be side by side for just a brief moment. He's ahead of the 91. The 91 still trying to get up to speed, and got slightly fresher tires. Let's see if he's going to try to race the 7 back before the caution comes out.
Sure, if he took tires, because he was... I'm not sure if he took tires. He might have taken fuel only.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, looking at the stop, yeah, he definitely took fuel. No way he took tires. You're right.
So he's trying to stay in front of the 7 and the 33. He knew what they were trying to do. That's why he took fuel only. Probably just a splash and go for that 91 as he's still on those older tires. But Scaoli and Weissart, who he's kind of sandwiched in between, they are both on fresher tires.
Race Slate, meanwhile, just ahead of these 3. You can see there they are in the background. So he's actually going to... actually, no, they still got one more lap to go after this, right? End of lap 13?
Yep, one more lap.
One more lap of racing. So they actually...
of lap 13.
They might actually potentially have a shot at catching him because they're coming in a hurry to the back of the 12. So we'll see how this plays out. I can see one of these 3 potentially re-inherit the lead while they're all racing with each other. Working through the chicane. Huge helping of curbs for everyone. Just on the eve of the competition caution. And the interesting thing to note with the pit stops, Jake Nichols, his pit stop was 7.1 seconds in the box. Weissart 6.8, Scaoli 6.4. So that pretty much was all that gap right there. I think that's how Scaoli was able to get past him, just taking, I guess, less fuel.
Might be, or it might have even been 2 tires. I'm not sure. That's interesting, though, to see the small increments in pit stops.
Working their way on through here, back onto the oval, and there you see the 7 to the back of the 12. How much is Slate going to give him an issue? No, he's actually going to pull over to the right, say, you can have it. I don't want to get involved in this. And like that, Scaoli is going to have a fairly easy pickings here down into the chicane. And there goes the 7 on through. It was a great pit stop, great strategy call for the 7 coming early. Worked out for him because he's going to be leading the field to the competition caution. Solid job.
Yep, and we'll kind of see if he comes back down pit road and takes the fresher tires. Maybe that's what they were trying to do. I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. It's kind of got me baffled.
Well, they're definitely up to something, and the caution officially out. Ooh, not before I think Slate might have dropped 1 or 2 spots. I think he almost lost position to Weissart. It looks like Nichols got him just before the line. So Scaoli, Nichols, Slate, Weissart, and Hartz. Your top 5 at the yellow. No, actually, no, never mind. The 12 got up into second. Okay, I think he just braked before turn 1 really hard. So Slate's still in second place.
We'll see what these guys do. Some might take 2, but I believe majority of the field will take 4.
So really solid round of pits. Let's take a look and try to find where our playoff drivers in the missiles. Again, it's going to probably reset again where they are because have the pit stops under caution to go through. And imagine people are going to come down and get tires. I'd hope they're going to come get tires.
It would help if they they came down and took tires.
Let's see, Brad Slaughter Jr. came in. He actually got full service to his car, 14 seconds in the pit, so I assume he's going to stay out. And I think this is exactly the move he needed to play. He needed that track position.
It's going to help him out quite a bit.
Yeah, so he's going to potentially inherit the lead. If not, actually, he may not inherit the lead. Cameron Hearn, Nicholas Johnson, and Connor Okrezik all got full service to their cars as well. So Brad Slaughter should be potentially, again, unless other guys decide to stay out, should be lined up in 4th. Once this all cycles through. Looking at Tyler Nichols, he also got full service to his car, so he should be potentially good to go. Jordan Martin, trying to find where he is. Where is Jordan Martin? Oh, there he is, at 14th. Apparently 14th has not come in, so he's going to have to come in under this caution. And Ed Robertson back in 18th also has to come in under this caution. So it's actually looking really good, I think, for Brad Slaughter Jr. and Tyler Nichols. I think they're looking a little bit better on the strategy side of things.
Yeah, we'll see how this second half plays out. We're not really halfway through, but...
Ooh, Connor Okrezik. What happened to him?
Huh.
This is really recent. So this is him. This is under caution. Oh, he went flying through the corner and into the wall hard. Wow.
Twice. Wow. That's insane to do under caution.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising. Because I was looking at it, I just see his name tumbling down the order and thought, oh, that's weird. We're under caution. It's weird to see a driver that happen to a driver like that. But yeah, so Okrezik surprisingly out. And I mean, it's surprising too because he had a pretty decent car.
He was running inside the top 5, and at one point was the highest of those not in the playoffs. So that's really going to open up the field for those again that are on the cutoff, trying to make it in, because every spot is a position in points.
Exactly.
Well, a point. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, let's talk about the guys on the cutoff as well on the good side of things. So 7th, 8th, and potentially 6th too. So we'll go through 6th place in the playoffs. Nick Johnson's 8th on the track. He's got a pretty fast car underneath him, so I don't have too many concerns. I think really the biggest concern is just not to wreck. For the 28 car, moving back to Ryan Hart, took a same boat for him in the 3, looking pretty quick here. The big story is with Garrett Heath crashing out early on lap 2. That spot's essentially going to be freed up. I think that crash basically lost him that playoff spot.
Yeah, we'll see as the cars looking like they're going to come down pit road. See what the 7th Scaoli does, the leader.
Rafe Slate going to lead the comers down onto pit lane. And a decent amount of field staying out. Those are the guys that already came in. But there's an interesting thing we talked about, right? Because, you know, we thought, okay, maybe they got some fuel. They definitely didn't get tires, at least 4 tires. And, yeah, so they're going to stay out again on their old set of tires. So interesting strategy calls here all around the field. And Brad Slaughter Jr. staying out.
Tires. I would say we'll see how the older tires versus the newer tires pay off.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. It's a race slate going to lead the field off of pit lane, and this is the field, the guys who have come down to get brand new, fresh set of tires. The entire top 3, I'm not exactly sure. I really don't think you could change a set of tires in 6 seconds. It seems a little short, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so this is drivers from 10th on back that have pitted, and so fuel wasn't going to be too much of a concern, but we'll see, because it could come down the field at the very end.
You really can, and again, I imagine these guys try to work out some scenarios, especially the playoff guys, worked out which scenarios are beneficial to them. If they can make it on fuel, if they pit for fuel on X lap, they can make it to the end if they're good to the end, and even too, especially you got to factor in the tires. You know, fuel aside, tires are a big thing, especially at a road course, right? You're gonna put, and if you're a driver that abuses the tires a little bit more, you're not as smooth on your inputs, a little bit throttle heavy, you're gonna be burning up your tires a little bit more, and if you're not watching them or taking care of them, you're going to be burning up the resource pretty quickly. So again, I'm going to be really intrigued seeing how these top three are going to do. They look really solid. Oh, and Rafe Slate going around. Wonder what this is about. He's going to come to a stop. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with the 12, but he's come to a stop on the back straightaway. Should be lined up in 10. Oh, you know what? It could have been he might have had to do something. I've seen that before. He just gassed it up, just parked the car. I'm going to go take care of the cat, let the cat outside.
That could be a reason. We don't know 100% of the time why they do stop, but could be for something like that. Maybe it is a cat. Maybe it's a dog. Who knows?
Who knows indeed. Big question is if he's going to get back going again. So we'll keep an eye on him sitting on the backstretch at the moment. But yeah, everything's about to start getting interesting. A little bit of a mix-up in the order. James Scaoli working his way up to the lead from the 91 of Nichols. David Weishart sitting in behind. I really would say, again, pending something crazy happen on the restart, this top three going to potentially... We're probably going to see a winner from this top three.
Yeah, it seems like the 7, the 91, and the 33 looking like they're the class of the field right now. But then again, we haven't even gotten halfway yet, and you know things can go haywire here in just a moment, like we saw with the 70 of Balancino.
Yeah, and again, that was really big. Potentially could have taken out Nicholas Johnson out of things, but narrowly avoided catastrophe due to some quick reaction times. The lights of the pace car are off. Field getting double filed up. We're going to get ready to go green.
And coverage of tonight's playoff cutoff race from the Charlotte Roval brought to you by Elite Entertainment. We would like to thank Elite Entertainment for their support of the Elite Entertainment Cup Series and from all of us here at Area. Be sure to check out Elite Entertainment on Facebook and book them to DJ your next event.
And definitely
the highest elite driver, I was going to say highest elite driver in the field, Cameron Hearn right now looking P4 on the track.
Yeah, doing a really solid job, and really thanks to them for giving support for this great series. These guys have been putting on a fantastic show. Did a great job at Homestead and putting on some great racing here at the Roval. Because like I mentioned at the top of the show, the Roval is really tricky to get right. It's typically due to it has a lot of attrition due to drivers. Again, the drivers that are not particularly good at the road courses, you will find out really if you're good at road course racing when you come to the Roval, because it has a habit of just completely taking out the guys who are not familiar with road course racing, and it's not kind to them at all. But we've seen some great action. In Sim TV history, we've usually seen one guy just go out there and dominate the race. It usually is never really even close towards second place. But again, we got three really solid drivers up near the front of the field. Not really any idea of who's going to win. The winner might not even come from the top three. And you can come back and watch this part of the broadcast again to tell me I'm right or wrong when we get to the checkered flag. But again, a lot of things at play here with a restart. We had a fairly hectic one, not track blocking hectic, but still a little hectic under the initial start of the race. Well, we'll see if this restart's got anything in store. I feel like typically after the first caution, everyone gets a little bit more antsy, a little bit more jumpy, a little bit more bold. We'll see if that's the case here.
Simon Fine didn't even make it through the second turn after initial start, so he was spinning around that early on. But who knows? The restart could be as chaotic.
Definitely can. Field rolling through NASCAR's turn 3 and 4 again. The chance of a final playoff spot. It opened up with the wreck from Garrett Heath earlier on. And it's between Ed Robertson, Jordan Martin, Tyler Nichols, and Brad Slaughter all duking it out for that final spot. I have a feeling we're really not going to know who's going to get that spot till the points are tallied up at the end of the night. But even the race for the lead, too, have no clue who's going to take it home. But we know that James Scaoli is going to be Scaoli going to be the one leading them down to the restart. Waiting a little bit longer than the 91 of Nichols did. And now going to punch it on the gas. We're back green here at the Roval.
interesting restart zone when it's in the front stretch chicane.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the fact that they have to adhere to that. That's why he's waiting a lot longer. Has to make sure he doesn't get a black flag himself. Oh, some carnage in the background. Car in the wall. Mark Patterson, I think. No, not Mark Patterson. Jacob Bell? No, not Jacob Bell. I think it's James Shanewolf I saw get in the wall. I saw an orange-black car hit the wall, but for the most part, other than some argy-bargy, we're good and green. Scaoli, Nichols, Weisart, Johnson, and Hearn, your top 5.
We'll see on the longer run the 91 slowly move up through the field. I mean, although he's second, he will have a chance at possibly being the winner at the end of this, because on the longer runs, this 91 car seems to go faster and faster. Something about preserving the tires here just seems to help Jake Nichols a lot.
Through the chicane they will go. Ooh,
oh, one driver cutting it. That's Slaughter.
Yeah, cut the chicane. He's going to have to give that time up. So he went through, I think, around 5th or 6th, and it's going to penalize you quite a bit. He's going to gas it up here. He's going to have to give up some more time. Otherwise, he's going to be getting a black flag. Ryan Swan, Chris in the number 45. 45 of the Mustang going to dive up the inside, and Slate in behind with his fresh tires. A bit of a lockup.
Yep, Slate up 1 spot since the restart.
Swan, big jump over the curbs, almost goes flying over into the wall. Going to try to work around Brad Slaughter Jr., who's still trying to go. You see how slow he is? Oh, he realized that. He's got to come to an almost dead stop on the racing line. Look, he's going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots down to 11th.
Dropped all the way outside the top 10 after that.
I think he was trying to see how far he can get away with it, but remember that for the cut course penalties, there's a time limit. You have to slow down in a certain amount of time, and I think he realized it wasn't going to go away and had to come to a very abrupt stop that cost him dearly, and you can see him trying to get a car up the inside of the 79 to get back some position. Not what he
both
needed.
These guys, yeah, not what he needed at all. He's back here with Tyler Nichols now. As both these guys need a win, move on, but they're going to need some luck on their side if they want that to happen.
And Nichols also, like you mentioned, in that fight, so can't quite let Slaughter get on by, but I think at the moment Slaughter's got the faster machine, so he's going to try to head off into the sunset and catch the rest of the guys that he lost track position to. Meanwhile, Scaoli off to a really solid lead, almost 9/10 of a second up on the 91. Remember when we saw it the other way around, we saw the 7 all over the back of the 91.
Yeah, Scaoli is one to look out for on the road courses too.
And also, here's a driver rearing his head, trying to join the winning fight. It's Nicholas Johnson. We talked about, remember, he came into the pit road, got 4 fresh sets of good gears. The leaders still have not come in 4 tires, or at least 4 tires this race. Johnson has, and I think with the fact that he's got a pretty quick car, he's got a shot at taking something from the leaders here.
Very well, if he just keeps on doing what he's doing, because eventually the tire fall off will catch up with some of these drivers, and it could help the 28 car, or it could hinder him. Who knows?
Number 45 working his way in behind. Still fighting with the one. Oh, actually, sorry, no, this is Cameron Hearn. He actually moved up 1 spot, now fighting the 67. Oh, and also some damage to the back of his car. Here's where he got that from.
Maybe from the one of Swan.
Yeah, you can see it on the left rear quarter panel. The 45 got some damage. Shouldn't be too crazy. I've seen significantly worse damage. Mostly just going to affect the body, but nothing too big of a concern. Rafe Slate up into 8th. The moment restarted in 10th, trying to work on the 7th. Again, he's got the freshest tires of most of the field. Came in during the caution. Everyone ahead of him came in before the competition caution. So trying to make those fresh tires work, put them to good use.
Yeah, at some point though, those new tires do even out, and eventually that new speed is going to run off as he's going to look to the inside of Ryan Swan here, heading into turn 5, rolling through turn 6. Can't quite get around him. Going to try and set him up here for potential pass in turn 8, or try to get a better exit off turn 8.
Yeah, this run, turn 8, the run back onto the oval, very important, because you can definitely help you or it can definitely hurt you if you're not careful. Got this run down the straightaway And this really helps for making passing opportunities. Speaking of which, Brett Slaughter Jr. rearing his head, trying to catch up to these two and get past both of them.
Slaughter's worked his way back inside the top 10, running in the 9th spot.
And just one position down from where he started, and he's going to be kicking himself too because he knows that he could have done a little bit better, and he knows that every point counts, so he can't afford to make any more mistakes. And that's the thing too, right? Is that I think unless there's what was the rule that unless there's a really big wreck, there may be a caution, or no cautions at all?
No cautions at all.
Oh, at all? Okay.
So we're all green to the finish.
Okay, so completely green, no chance at all whatsoever. So if he makes a mistake, it's going to last. There's no chance of the caution coming out to save him. Try to reset everything. Ray Slade up ahead, still fighting with Ryan Swan. Almost gives him the bumper. Ooh, gonna have to look at Swan.
This time.
It looks like Swan actually waited on by.
Wide.
So Slate getting the move done. I think he's trying to break away because he knows that Brett Slaughter Jr. is coming very quickly behind in his Toyota Camry.
He always gets so close near that exit at turn 8.
Oh, and he's going to move on over. I think he knows this is going to be a battle that's not worth fighting. Brad Slaughter Jr. up into 8th position. Now we're going to try to take a look at 7th as soon as he can get back to the 12. Ooh, huge jump over the curb, almost a little bit too much.
And a lockup from behind there for Dominic D'Elia, but Ryan Swan knows the position that the 88 car is in as Simon Fine looking to move inside the top 5, and he does on Cameron Hearn. Hearn going in the grass almost, trying to see if he can generate a run to get back around Simon Fine.
I'll tell you what, he's really lucky that is AstroTurf now, not actual grass, because that car would have gone spinning off to the left if it was actual grass. But now trying to get that spot back. Yeah, there's 45. Sudden Faden is going to be just on a roll at the moment. And and the funny thing is that he didn't even come in for fresh tires either. He's still also do I have? No, don't have that information on the graphics. But with 6.6 seconds was his only stop, and that was before the competition caution. So he's still also on older tires, but looking pretty strong.
Yeah, and not to mention, he didn't even make it through 2 turns before crashing. He crashed, or at least it was spun around, but this 45 car, even after that, still showing top 5 speed.
There's a pass for position 88 on the 12. Vlad Slaughter Jr. up into 7th. I want to say that was around where he had his little incident. Ooh, as they say, that little squirrely into the chicane. You don't want to go through it again and ruin all that hard work.
Yep, Slaughter continuing to tear up the top 10s. He's up to 7th right now. And, I actually just realized we are past the halfway points, but we'll go ahead and give you your top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that can help improve your focus in gaming. You can use discount code AREA iRacing, AREA iRacing, for 15% off your entire order. We will once again like to give a big thanks to Swift Lifestyles for their continuous support of Area iRacing. Now let's look at the 7 of James Scaoli, who seems to have driven away for the moment from the 91 of Jake Nichols. He entered tonight's race 3rd in the standings, plus 17 to the cutoff line. Won earlier at Circuit of the Americas for the Lodge Box Series and is currently leading his way through the Roval.
Yeah, doing a really solid job. Up 2 seconds back to second place, Jake Nichols. The biggest gap we've seen all night long. Speaking of Jake Nichols, again, leading the race early on, but unfortunately with the way the pit stops played out, Scaoli getting the top spot away from the 91. He's got to really worry about the number 33 and behind him, David Weishart closing in.
Yep, Weishart, the defending Cup champion, entered 2nd in the points, plus 25 to the cutoff line. He's been basically inside the top 3 I wouldn't say the whole race, majority of the race, because they did come down and pit before the competition caution. Had a little bobble there coming out of turn 17, but nonetheless, top 3 speed for the 33.
We go back to 4th place, Nicholas Johnson, who looked like he was coming up pretty quickly on these guys. It started to fall off, and I think this is where you're talking about those new tires starting to even out with everyone else, because he's not really made a whole lot of progress. He's still very much in picture should something happen to the top 3, but at the moment, doesn't quite look like he's got the pace to get around him, at least just yet.
And here's the highest of those not chasing for the title, the 45 of Chris Seinfeld. He wrecked. Once again, he wrecked coming through turn 2 on the opening lap. And just to see the speed that this 45 car has, and he's not even on fresh tires either. So for Seinfeld, solid job running in the 5th spot.
Cameron Hearn right in behind them in the 67 car. Not really a whole lot to say. He's had a fairly quiet night for the most part. And I think, sometimes those are the best nights. Starting in 5th, back in 6th. So he's been staying around pretty much where he qualified. So not a whole lot of movement from the 67 car, but still a solid run.
Behind a solid run for the 88 of Brad Slaughter, but he entered tonight's race minus 19 to the cutoff, dead last in points. And with Garrett Heath being out, who knows what position the 88 of Slaughter will be in the points following this race. If he can continue to move up through the field, he might have a shot at that 8th playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, really, all he needs to do is just try to move as many positions up as possible. Just a quick change for position. Cameron Hearn and Chris Seidenfeiden. Whoa, and the 67 going to go flying over the curb.
He's going to spin!
Oh!
Got in too hot through the front stretch chicane, and that's going to cost him more than a spot. Take a look at a replay of it really quick. He makes the pass here on the 45 of Seinfeld and just locks it up.
Yeah, I think he was just so focused on where the 45 was. I think was trying to look if there was a counterattack coming, and unfortunately misses the brake marker, and around he went, and he's all the way back in 10th place. And with that, we'll go back to our round here. I had to cut that a little bit short. We'll go back to talking about the 12 of race slate. That call is the first driver to pit under the first driver leading everyone coming out of the competition caution that came to pit road. That 12 cars up into 7th place. So doing a pretty solid job, all things considered. He's got to worry, though, about the 22 potentially catching back up to him, Dominic DeLeo.
Dom DeLeo entered tonight plus 16 to the cutoff in points, running in the 8th spot. Solid run for that 22. Really just been consistent as the season has progressed, and that's going to help if he wants to have a shot at that championship in Vegas.
And finishing out our top 10, currently in 9th after what happened with the 67, who's trying to get back that 9th place. Ryan Swan also having a fairly solid night. Saw him make a few moves early on after the restart to get that one car up inside the top 10 and trying to keep at least 9th spot here, but that 67 Cameron Hearn closing in.
Yep, and that was your top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles. And mentioned it earlier, Ryan Swan, he said if he was running like he typically would, like mid-pack or so towards the back on these road courses, he would just call it a night. But he's running inside the top 10. That one car's got speed.
Yeah, he's definitely got some speed. He's going to definitely need some speed. He wants to keep the 67 at bay, who I'm sure is a little bit hot under the head. It's always so frustrating. You're having such a good run, especially after he made a really good pass on the 45 and is now down 5 spots from where he knows he should be. And I'm sure he's going to try to muscle his way past the past the one car if possible, and he's caught up to his bumper.
I think the one might let him go, like we saw earlier on. Because he knows what he let Slaughter go early on. We know what Slaughter is going after.
Oh, yeah.
Not giving it up just yet. He's going to let him have it here, though. 67's got a run. Going to get, close to making contact with the one of Swan as they roll through the back stretch.
Oh, no!
Hits the wall.
Oh.
Cameron Hearn, again, he can't quite get the chicanes down. Not even on the backstretch.
Yeah, this is really surprising because, I mean, this is pretty much a done deal. We saw the one trying to let him on by. And unfortunately, I think just dove it in a little bit too shallow, went up and over the curbs, car upsettled, and into the tire barrier. This is a decent hit. And now back in 11th. So it's not going from bad to worse for the 67. I think he's definitely going to be happy that he's at least not in a playoff a Jeopardy spot for the playoff picture, but definitely not a particularly good night.
Well, one driver who is happy that he's taken the fall is Brad Slaughter, because he moved up to 6th after that first incident on the front stretch with the front stretch chicane, and Slaughter's closing in on Seinfeld for the top 5.
Yeah.
Oh, he just hit the wall right there. Never mind.
Oh man, these guys really flirting with the walls around here. I mean, I guess they feel they paid the $14.95 for the track. They're going to use up all the track and then some. But Seidenfein, yeah, he's going to have to find another gear. Potentially going to have to unlock a 6th gear in this car to try to break away. Because Brad Slaughter, despite the fact that he had that slowdown earlier, he's been working those tires pretty hard, trying to muscle past the competition, and he's still making time. He's caught up to 5th. Honestly, though, I think 5th. Honestly, is probably where he should be. And it's probably where he's going to end up if he does get past. Whoa! He's not going to get past if he keeps diving in like that. He was really hard on the brakes.
He's trying to give it all he can because he knows that every spot counts, especially after the unfortunate circumstance that happened to Garrett Heath. I don't even think he connected in. Well, no, actually, you said he wrecked on lap 2. So
Lap 2, yeah.
I guess I didn't see him at all since the green flag flew, and he's in the last position. So I'm fine with a little bobble there. Clark closing in.
I think something happened to Drew Trader. I saw a puff of smoke on the backstretch. I think he had an incident in the chicane. Nothing much else to report from that. Still in 15th. Just taking a look at the session events too. I always keep forgetting that's a thing with ATV, and it says that he may have crashed a little while ago, so he's back going in the number 25 car. Let's take a look though at our leaders. A nice even 2-second gaps, more or less, between them. Scaoli doing a good job up in front. Nichols not quite able to make a dent. Are you a bit surprised with this, or is this potentially expected?
It's a little expected. The 91 might be saving his tires for later on because we got 11 more laps to go. He might have something in the bag for that number 7, so don't look at it being done just yet.
And also, likewise, David Weishart, very quiet run in 3rd place, sitting in behind, not bursting any bubbles, just riding the race out in behind them. Nicholas Johnson, too, trying to get back up. Again, he's one of those drivers, right, that are not in the playoffs, so they really got nothing to lose. They're just going for wins at this point in the season. Not quite able to get up to the leaders, though. He got up to around a second, and he's been slowly drifting back. It's around 2.5 seconds, 2.6 seconds, the gap between them. Cameron Hearn, Ryan Hartz, they exchange for position. Hearn back inside the top 10 after his run-in with the barrier.
This has been one chaotic race, and like I said, we're not going to know officially who's inside the top 8 in points until probably after the broadcast is complete.
Yeah, actually, let's take a look quickly at the bottom 4. Where they're running at the moment. Ed Robertson, 9th place in the point standings, 18th on the track. Not a particularly good night. Unfortunately for him, I think it's safe to say he will probably not be the car advancing onwards. I mean, you never know, but he's really not doing that good. Same thing with Jordan Martin. He's sitting just ahead of Robertson, but in 17th. Looking at Tyler Nichols, where is he running at? He's running in 12th, so he's actually having a pretty decent showing out there. Might be able to catch Martin and Robertson. Again, it's too early to call. And then Brad Slaughter doing the best of them by a pretty decent margin. He's currently in 6th, has a chance of getting 5th. He's got back up to the 45.
Where did Brad Slaughter start? He started 8th.
Started in 8th, yeah. So it's funny because he hasn't really moved a whole lot, but we saw him. He had to claw his way back up, fall back to, I think, as far as 11th after he caught the chicane, drove all the way back up to 6th, and now potentially 5th.
Yeah. I'm trying to piece this through because Robertson was only 6 points out, and he's more than 6 positions ahead of Garrett Heath, so he might be in that 8th position as we're watching the battle for the 5th position go on. Sci-Fi going to give it to Slaughter as they head into the backstretch chicane, turn 11. We're rolling through, coming out of turn 12, both drivers cleanly. But, yeah, it seems like, according to my calculations, that Ed Robertson might be in that 8th spot because Jordan Martin was 10 points back, so he's, like, flirting with it, although Slaughter is really... Oh, and Swan going through the turtles there.
Yeah,
he's going to lose his spots at the Leo.
Yeah, the way he ran through, though, he basically blocked the exit of the chicane and held everyone up, and now we all of a sudden have a 3-way fight for position here. Actually make that 4-way fight. Cars. Yeah, as Ryan Hart's heading into frame. Here we go. This could get hectic. Everyone fighting 8, 9, into the braking zone.
11th.
And they somehow make it through. I was really concerned, especially with Hearn. We saw an earlier mistake from him, but everyone going to make it through. Swan, though, the biggest loser. Looks like he's really starting to struggle.
Yes, and it might seem like I was saying, according to my calculations, that Robertson might be in that 8th spot, but, you know, Brad Slaughter's really proven why he's deserving of that 8th spot, but the points, it's all going to pay out differently.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, because let's see, doing the math, it is a 13-point difference between Robertson and Slaughter, so... And on the track, oh, there's 13 positions between them on the track. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's
going to be really close. I think for Slaughter, I think
I'll say if Slaughter misses, you're going to have to look at Homestead and him trying to get on the pit road, because that was the first caution. That kind of threw off his whole night.
So championship picture really only going to reveal itself probably after the checker flag, once the points are all tallied up. But Slaughter still, if nothing else, he definitely drove his heart out here.
Absolutely, he did.
But like you said, it's not the single race. You got to look at it in the aggregate, especially when you had 2 rounds to do well. You messed up the first one, you try to make it up for the second one, but might fall a little bit short. I have to see how it plays out. Cameron Hearn, though, we just saw him get past the 22. Dominic DeLeo up into 8th, or should I say back up into 8th for Hearn, trying to make up from his 2 mistakes into the chicanes.
Boy, looking at the gap between the top 4, they're within 7 or 8 seconds between themselves and the leader, James Scaoli. Then you got to look at Brad Slaughter, 26 to 27 seconds behind the leader. So there's been quite a bit of carnage behind the top 4. But looking like these guys are settled in. Jake Nichols still hovering at around 2 seconds behind the leader, Scaoli. Going to be interesting to see if these guys are able to make it on fuel, because a good portion of the field that pitted under that competition caution, they're already good to go. Not sure if fuel is going to be that big of a concern, though, for those that pitted early.
I would want to think if it was going to be a factor, they would have come in, right? Because they technically would have had nothing to lose coming in, because they were already at the top half of the field. I mean, maybe they would have lost a few spots, but I would have been really surprised if they decided that coming under green was a better choice, but you never know. Some guys come up with some really crazy strategies. Some work, some don't. Well, we'll see here at 7 laps to go. There's a remaining factor left in this race. Bit of a lockup from the lap car up ahead of the 7. I believe that's Drew Trader in the 25. Indeed it is. Running back in 16th. And as you can imagine, 16 cars on the lead lap. Potentially going to be 15 if the 7 catches up to him.
Yeah, and Scaoli was one of the few drivers, him and Nick Johnson, they both stayed out at COTA, at COTA when the caution came out, and it did not help them at all. It helped the 91 to Jake Nichols, because he pitted before the competition caution in that race, and that's what led to his victory. So the 7 learning from that lesson and trying to formulate that into a victory here.
Yeah, but looking at the rest of the playoff picture, and remaining 3 rounds of racing left to go for the championship, I gotta say, I think it's probably going to be potentially, obviously I have more drivers at play, but looking like it might be a battle between these 2, Scaoli and Nichols.
Yeah, it's looking like these 2 are the closest within the winning position. So Nichols closing in a little bit more as the 7 had to go through the lapped car. But it doesn't seem like the 33 or the 28 can drive their way through closer towards the top 2.
There's Nichols getting around the lap car. Got some cleaner to work with again. It's going to be kind of hard to find to make up 2 seconds now at 6 laps to go, but anything can happen if Scaoli makes a big mistake. And so far it's been fairly mistake-free. I haven't really seen anything out of the 7. I say that, though, it might be a commentator's curse, so I might have given Nichols a bone. We'll see if commentator's curse bites the 7, but he's driven a fairly flawless race. He had no mistakes, just got his head down. Really good strategy call, and you can go look back. That strategy call to come in earlier than he really needed to. That pretty much running the race, giving that track position ahead of the 91.
Yep, we see still got 5 laps left here at the Charlotte Roval, presented by CNC Logging. We'd like to thank CNC Logging for their support of the CNC Logging Truck Series this season in area. Located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, CNC Logging is your place to go for any of your logging needs. God would. Big or small, summer or fall, we'll cut your log, guaranteed. CNC Logging. You can catch the CNC Logging Truck Series tomorrow night from the Charlotte Roval here on the SimTV YouTube channel, or if you're watching on Twitch, the Area iRacing Twitch channel at 8:40 Eastern.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the guys can do in that series as well. I think it might be a little bit more chaotic because I feel like these cars, the chaos has gone a little bit down considering they, designed more like a proper road course car and not just a big metal box with a giant engine strapped to it. It's got proper, arguably better suspension than their former Gen 6 counterparts. So I feel like in some places it's a little bit easier to control, but the truck series car is still a little bit more old-fashioned. And I feel like that might lead to some more chaos, so we'll definitely see what happens tomorrow night. Stay tuned to that. As this race is coming into its closing stage, saw a battle brewing there between Bell and Culberson's died down for a moment. Ooh, as I say that, a little bit wide from Bell, almost off into the grass.
So you're going to say for the truck race, because there's... Oh, we got a spin right behind. Like right behind Jacob Bell. It looked like that was Ed Robertson.
Indeed it was. Take a look at what happened to him. Oh, just a little bit too hot into turn one on the exit. Managed to not hit anything.
But yeah, like I was going to say, for tomorrow night's truck race, the trucks don't have a specific setup for this track like the Cup cars do. They have the Mid-Ohio... Not the Mid-Ohio. They have the Charlotte Roval setup. So the trucks have the Mid-Ohio road course setup for this track, and from what I can hear from the drivers, that it handles perfectly. So if you wanted to get a feel for what the truck is going to be like tomorrow, just run the Mid-Ohio setup at the Roval. That's basically what the drivers are going to be running with.
I was just taking a look at a pass for position between Garrett Grant and Dwayne Culberson just occurred. Grant up into 14th place. And try to take a look again where our playoff guys are. I don't think it really changed a whole lot. We saw what happened with Robertson. He ended up spinning. Actually lost the spot to Jordan Martin, who went up into 17th place. Trying to look and see. Let's see. Next on the list, Tyler Nichols up into 12th. And then, of course, we've been talking a whole lot about Brad Slaughter up into 5th. No real forward progress after that because he's 21 seconds in behind Nick Johnson.
Yep, so a few more laps for this race, and the 88 car going to have to continue to the pace that he's on and hope for some hijinks in the top 4 if he wants to inch 1 point closer. It's going to be tight between him and really Ed Robertson for that cutoff spot. With Ed having that spin, though, it might open up the door a little more for the 88.
Yeah, again, it's really so up in the air. He is probably, I'm sure he's begging to the racing gods that something happens to the top 3 so they can get an extra few spots. I mean, well, there might be something here. There's some lap traffic. A couple of lap cars just ahead. I think that's Culberson, Grant, and Bell, all racing for position 2 laps to go. Are they going to be willing to move by for the leaders? I'm sure for Scaoli, he's going to be hoping they move over because Nichols is not too far behind. Oh!
Whoa! I would say Culberson wasn't going to make it easy for the 7. The teammate to the 91 of Jake Nichols going to want to try and slow that car down as much as possible for his solar flare teammate.
I think he did a good job there. Scaoli went into the access road barrier trying to get around. And there you can see much easier for the teammate to get on. Actually, hasn't gotten through yet. Paint seems to look very similar there for a second. Still has to catch back up. And it looks like some traffic has cleared up there. You see him working around the 5 car.
Now that Garrett is Grant. The 7 car's teammate, Garrett Grant, both for David Wisar Racing. So the 91 car is going to pass his teammate, the 81.
Brakes glowing red on the 91 car, and as you mentioned, he's got to pass the teammate. The 7, kind of funny how that worked out. We'll see if he's gonna put the 91 close into the wall, or make him have to work the hard way around. We'll see here. And he's just gonna pop the car on the racing line, and there finally lets him go on by. White flag in the air. Ooh, a lock up ahead of the leader. Wasn't Scaoli, but the car up ahead. I believe that is
Jacob Bell.
Bell. Bit of a lock up ahead of the leader. That's the last thing you want to see of the leader is the car up ahead struggling. Like that, missing a braking point. Yeah, he's just going to pull over to the side. lets the 7 on by. Scaoli's done a pretty solid job. Half a lap left to go. And just has to make it around the circuit. And you could argue, pretty solid job. And just take a look at how many laps he's led. It's going to be a big number. For Scaoli, 27 laps of the 40. It's going to be potentially 28 when he gets back to the line. Wouldn't say quite exactly dominance from the 7. He's definitely had to earn it. Pulled some really good strategy earlier on. And just had some solid pace in his Ford Mustang. Working through the backstretch chicane now. Back onto the oval. It wasn't enough for the 91 of Jake Nichols, but he's not going to mind too much. He already advanced after a win last week. And again, not that Scaoli needed the win to lock himself in because he's been doing pretty good in the points, but he will get the win here as he works through the final chicane. James Scaoli will win here at the Charlotte Roval.
Solid race from that number 7 of Scaoli. You knew he was going to be a factor heading into tonight, and he just did that. Got the job done with the win. Jake Nichols coming home P2, having already locked himself in from the previous week at Homestead. David Weishart, solid third place for that 33. Started third, finished third in the 33. All signs for the 3. Nick Johnson coming home with a 4th place finish. And Brad Slaughter, we're going to have to look and see where this 88 car is.
Yeah.
He's coming out of turn 16, now through turn 17, and he's going to come home with a top 5. Is that enough for him to lock himself into the next round of the playoffs?
Yeah, it's going to be such an uneasy feeling as a driver, knowing you pretty much gave it your all, and I would say probably 5th was probably the best that Brad Slaughter was going to do tonight, based on his position and after the caution. So I think he did the best he could. Question, as we mentioned throughout the night, is it enough? Because he's going to be fighting with Jordan Martin and Ed Oh, wow. That's ironic. They're all almost today. All in frame. All 3 of these guys are going to be wondering where they're going to end up. And you can throw in Tyler Nichols there, too, because he's going to actually just come into the line now in the 79 in 11th. Not quite sure who's going to move on. It's going to be a toss-up. It's going to come down to just a few points here and there between all 4 of them. We definitely know, though, that Garrett Heath is not going to be the one to advance into the playoffs. It's going to be one of the 4 other drivers that continued onwards, but we'll let the points be tallied up after the fact. James Scaoli working his way back around. And he's going to do a few celebratory burnouts.
And the difference in the points heading into tonight, Robertson was 6 points out of the cutoff line, and Slaughter was 19 points out. Separation of 13 points, and Slaughter finished 13 spots ahead of Ed Robertson. That's really kind of close.
Indeed, cutting it close. The 71 burns it down here for the fans at the Charlotte Roval. Excellent job by the 7. Really couldn't have asked him to do anything more. And as he parks it on the start-finish line, let's go through your race results. Kind of already started going through them already. With the 7 again coming home with the win. Jake Nichols, a solid 2nd place. Both those guys off to a really great start for their playoff championship hopes. David Weishart, Nicholas Johnson, Brad Slaughter, your top 5 again. Still got to wait to hear what happens with Slaughter. Hearn, Seidenfaden, DeLeo, Hart, and Swan rounding out your top 10.
And looking back, Tyler Nichols, 11th over there. Rafe Slate, Jacob L. Garrett Grant, Dwayne Culberson, the top 15. And then 16th on back, Drew Trader, Jordan Martin, Ed Robertson, Forrest Smith, and Mark Patterson in 20th. Forrest Smith actually out.
Yeah, and actually a couple of guys, the entire 3rd page, all drivers that went out of the race. Shane Wolf caps Krezek. We saw Krezek that really weird wreck under caution. That was definitely an unfortunate end to what could have been a solid top 10, potentially even solid top 5 finish for the 14. Robinson, Ballacino going to be finishing 24th, 25th, and then again, big news, Gareth Heath going to be ending it up early on. Last car and the last playoff driver in the field out, and going to end his playoff hopes. But meanwhile, we'll go ahead and talk to David Weishart, your 3rd place finisher. David, it was a solid run for you in the 33 car in 3rd place. Unfortunately, weren't quite able to get the win, but what was your view of that race?
Well, you know, the first part of the race was actually really fun. You know, me, Jake, and James were up there kind of battling. I always felt the whole race I was kind of the 3rd wheel there. but I knew it was going to come down to those two more than likely, and we were just kind of setting sail. So that was a lot of fun, and we pit, and in these next gen cars, you know, there's no tire fall off, so we pitted for fuel only, same as Jake, I assume. I don't know if that was his plan going in or if that's what he saw us doing and changed his strategy to counter us. But us three and my teammate Chris, as far as I could tell, were the only ones that took no tires. And man, them things were flying after the restart. They had heat in them, and like I said, there was just no tire fall off. And there at the end, Jake just kind of got away from me. The field just kind of spread out. You know, James is the road course master, you know, of the league, and him and Jake walked away from me, and I walked away from Johnston behind me. So I feel like I finished where I deserved to finish tonight.
Well, definitely third place. No, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, story of my life, David, third wheel, but nonetheless, solid third place there. You're moving on to the next round of the playoffs, and just kind of want to get your early thoughts on the next race, which is Martinsville, a good old paperclip half-mile short track. What are your thoughts going into that one?
I don't really know, actually. I ran like 200 laps here for this week because I knew this was going to be a wild card, and just for fun, I was like, well, let's see what the Martinsville setup has for us. And that thing's undrivable, so we're going to have to do some testing throughout the week and figure something out. But it's undrivable, so I honestly don't have an opinion on that yet. We're gonna have to get the admins together and Jake, and we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do there.
All right, well, David, definitely a solid job. Obviously wasn't the win, but a really solid third place. Definitely looked to be one of the better drivers in the field tonight. Congrats on your third place, and best of luck for the rest of the playoffs.
All right, thanks, guys. I just want to thank Butt Kicker, Chris Sports Cards, all the admins for doing what they do, everybody watching, and y'all for broadcasting.
Absolutely. No problem, David. Moving on to our second place finisher. Unfortunately, came up a little bit short tonight. You couldn't do back-to-back wins, Jake. I'm sure you definitely tried your best to do so, but came up a little bit short. Looking back, it kind of came down to when you guys were coming down to the pitting before the competition caution came out. We always know hindsight's 2020. Looking back, do you feel like you should have come in and tried to undercut the 7, or do you feel like it was maybe a losing battle?
Not really. I think he had the pace on us for sure. I was trying to take care of just the car in the first run. I wanted to just, I was thinking more of team points than anything, knowing that our other two teammates weren't having the best nights. They weren't doing it bad, but when you're competing with guys that are also second and third on the racetrack, and they're the team you're battling with for points, you got to just be cautious as possible. But I was driving as hard as I could pretty much the whole race, and I just couldn't match James until the last 15 laps, and then we kind of evened out, and it went back and forth. But I don't know, that first run, I kind of screwed up on the lap that I was coming into pit. I didn't know if they took tires or not, because a lot of guys didn't at Coda. So I had to move a friend of mine into our channel to ask him, hey, did they pit or did they take tires or not? And I think I lost probably 2-3 tenths doing that. But I mean, you'll always find some reason why you didn't win or why you made a mistake here or there. So it's all good. We did the best we could. James ran an incredible pace all race. He deserved it for sure. But our Starflare Camry was pretty good. I wish Tyler could have gained one more spot. I think he had a 3-way tie for the last spot, and I think it's gonna go to Brad there. But either way, it was a good night for our team.
Yep, well, I was just about to say that. I was kind of going to wait until a little bit later on after the interviews, but you kind of said it right there, folks. There was a 3-way tie for the 8th spot between Brad Slaughter, Ed Robertson, and Tyler Nichols, and it did go to Brad Slaughter, so a little unfortunate there for not only Ed Robertson and Tyler Nichols as well, but also Jordan Martin. All those guys were really close to the cutoff line. We didn't know which one had the upper hand, but man, it was just that close, and that win was so close too, about 2 seconds behind. Was there anything else that you could have done to try and undercut the 7? We saw that he pitted earlier in that pit stop before the caution came out, and you almost had it out in front of him. But is there anything else that you felt like you could have done different that might have been a different result?
I don't know. I mean, that first part of that last run, I drove really hard. I was running. Obviously, we're all going to run our best laps because we're all trying hard. The tires are probably optimal temp at that point, and the track's cooled off a bit. But I don't know. I don't know what I did different in the second half of the last run compared to the first. Like, I guess I just drove a little tighter. I forced the car to be a little tighter, so I just had more grip. Wasn't sliding the rears as much as the first run, but I don't know. The points battle, though, sorry for the spoiler, but it shows that right there. I just wanted to speak about it. It shows how competitive the league is, that we had literally a three-way tie for that last spot. Like, you have to get every point you can. And that revolves with the team points as well, obviously, with the heat of the battle that we're going to have throughout the end of the season. But going back to the race for a second, yeah, I don't know if I could have done different or anything different. Maybe drove a little harder and just had a little more confidence in the car. I almost junked it a few times, though, after the restart. So I don't know if I could have done anything better, other than just maybe practice a little more. I didn't really practice that much for the race. I just ran a few laps here and there, and then just showed up and hoped we had speed, and we had good enough. So you know, podium ain't nothing to complain about.
Yeah, definitely a podium, nothing to scoff at. Jake had a really solid run in the first 2 rounds. Hopefully you can keep it up for the next 3.
Hey, thank you.
All right, moving on, last but certainly not least, our race winner, James Scaoli. And James, gotta say, you managed to get it done. You did a really solid job out there. Very few mistakes, if any. I don't think you really caught any mistakes on the broadcast, if you did make any. Every time it just seemed that 7 car was really under control. So I gotta know that undercut that you guys did, both you and David. Did you plan that from the get-go, or was that kind of like an audible mid-race?
It was kind of an audible for me after I didn't get the pole. If I was on the pole, I probably would have run it out like he did, but I was sitting behind him in that whole first run, and I knew that I was faster than him. It's just these cars have so much traction coming out of the corners that I couldn't really build a run going into a braking zone. So the plan was to try and undercut and get some clean track, and we did for about a lap, and then we started catching some other guys, and that was kind of where my big mistake came, was racing with Ryan Hartz and some of those guys. I kind of missed one of the chicanes and messed up a little bit, but we were able to just barely come out in front of Jake. So yeah, getting that clean track really helped. I was just able to jump him, and yeah, so like you said, kind of an audible, but worked out.
Well, we already talked to Weishart about the next race, which is Martinsville, and got his thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on that? Short track, half-mile paper clip. Believe it's the first time we're going in area history. So that should be a fun one for all, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely a little bit worried going into Martinsville. It's always, in official racing anyways, it's always kind of been a mess. There are always a lot of wrecks. The contact model really gets cars spinning pretty easy. So the big plan there is just going to be to try and qualify up front like I did today, and hopefully just keep track position. I don't know what the pit strategy is going to be if it goes green or any of that, so we're just going to have to kind of play that by how it goes during the race. But definitely worried for the next round, and then we back it up with Michigan right after that, and that'll be kind of like a plate race in these cars. So that was definitely the round that I was worried about going into these playoffs. So hopefully these 5 playoff points that I got from this win will help us out there.
Yeah, I definitely hope it does. But really solid job, James. You did a really good job out there. You're gonna potentially fighting Jake. Seems like Jake's probably one of your biggest competitors at the moment. Best of luck fighting it out for the championship between you and him.
Thank you, and I want to say a big thanks to David Weishart Racing and Butt Kicker for being on board this year, and then big thanks to you guys in the booth. The broadcasts have been amazing lately, so thank you guys, and then big shout out to Jacob and all the admins and everybody who helps let us run these every week.
All right, no problem, James. And with that, it's going to wrap up the interviews here for tonight. Again, some big moments. First of all, I just got to say, great racing from everyone all around. It's some of the best racing we've seen at the Charlotte Roval. The guys up in front battling it out, and even the guys in the midfield, side-by-side battles. It's really great stuff. These guys put on a great show and really just show how much talent there is in the field. And also, big congrats to Brad Slaughter Jr., who he is confirmed that he's moving on.
Indeed it is. I mean, like I said, I was going to save it till after the interviews, but Jake Nichols kind of brought up because his brother Tyler Nichols was in it. I knew it was close between Slaughter and Robertson. Didn't know that Tyler Nichols was right in the mix as well, but Jordan Martin was also 3 points out of that cutoff, and Garrett Heath 2 points out of out of that tiebreaker, I should say. So Brad Slaughter, and he entered 19 points out of the playoffs. He was minus 19, dead last in the playoffs, and he moved up to 8th, which, by the way, is dead last also. So he moved from dead last to make it into the next round of the playoffs. But he had a great race. He had some mistakes too, but he recovered nicely, got a solid top 5 out of it. Ed Robertson, just one spot the difference, or Tyler Nichols, even one spot the difference with him, could have been a different story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he really lucked in with Garrett Heath wrecking out and losing all those points, because I mean, even with him wrecked out, he was still actually close to still making it in. So I think Heath continued on, even if he finished, I think, what, 20th maybe, 22nd, 21st, he might have still just gone on by the sheer points lead he had over everyone else. But yeah, that really definitely helped Brad Slaughter, and Slaughter, he did the best job he could and made the best of what he was given, and he's gonna move on.
I mean, if Garrett Heath didn't have that early DNF, he most likely would have moved on to the next round. But that just goes to show every race matters and every position matters, because every position is a point. Brad Slaughter got it by a 3-way tiebreaker to move on to the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this is definitely showing how close this field is going to be, and you're definitely not going to want to miss anything else. Am I forgetting anything? I think we wrapped up everything.
Well, we got everything wrapped up in a blanket, ready to go.
Indeed we do, and well, what better place to go? We're going to wrap everything up on a blanket. Field's going to be covered under a blanket when they head to the next round at Martinsville. Some tight action, some short track racing, going to be beating, banging, and it's going to be even worse because we're in the playoff picture, because guys are going to be fighting tooth and nail to get every single point they can. Tune in next week for that race, but you can also tune in tomorrow night if you want some more road course racing. It's going to be the Truck Series heading out to the Charlotte Roval to get things done. But for now, we're going to be logging out. My name is Finicuna here with Hunter Slippy, covering the Area Cup Series. Thank you for watching.